There are two kinds of people in this world. Either you're doing things you know you shouldn't, or you're not doing things you know you should. Guess what? We're both. Hi, I'm Marcy Barker, life and business coach, aka your loving kick in the pants. This podcast is here to help you become accountable with aligned action and become boss-minded while growing a business without sacrificing what matters most. Let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your Loving Kick in the Pants podcast. I'm excited for you to be here because I'm excited to talk about becoming boss-minded, the accountability code, and just overall doing better in your life so that you feel good about who you are and what you're doing. So today we're going to talk about productivity and time management, specifically about designing a productive schedule. Now, what's cool about this topic is that I included it in becoming boss-minded, but I also included it in the accountability code, and I wrote that book 4 years ago. So this strategy that I'm going to teach you about, once again, is something I've been using for years and years and years, and it has been a game changer in me developing myself as a person according to who I want to be. And when it comes to being productive, I think that you'll find that when you spend your time on the things that matter, that's when you're happy. And that's when you start to realize, like, I do have control of what I'm doing. I do have control of cutting out distractions, and I do have control of saying no and yes to the things that I want to. So in the podcast today, I just want you to kind of wrap your head around the idea that you can 100% be productive and in charge and enjoy it. But it's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take some time to recognize what you want and how to rearrange your environment day by day so that it is more conducive to who you want to be. So in my book, The Accountability Code, I talk about this. And then in my workbook, my Wake Up and Show Up workbook, I put a whole template in there as well. And when I was writing Becoming Boss-Minded, I knew that I had to include it here again because the reason why I've been successful in business is because as an entrepreneur, I've had to learn how to control my schedule. I've had to learn how to say no to things that aren't aligned, and I've learned how to have the discipline to do the things that need to be done. And I'm hoping that while I teach you this strategy, you'll be able to see yourself in this process and see that it can totally work for you and it is completely adaptable, but there are certain key components that make alignment happen. So let's dive in. In this story, we're on page 185. If you guys have the actual book, you guys can go and grab that on Amazon. And if you guys have the ebook or the audiobook, you can definitely hop ahead to this chapter. So designing a productive schedule is actually one of the very best ways to manage your time, because I think we've all had an experience where the day just got away from us and we're like, I don't even know what I did. I feel like I was running around like a chicken with my head chopped off, and before I know it, it's time for bed again, and there's this little bit of dread that comes with tomorrow, of like, I gotta do this all again tomorrow, and there's stuff that I didn't get done today that I'm gonna have to pick up again, and it just becomes really exhausting and draining. And when you feel exhausted and drained, that is not the way to make the very best decisions in your life and your business. So in this strategy, this is called How to Use My Time Well. And because we're doing a video podcast, I can show you guys what I'm talking about, okay? So this is a little book that I created, and this is actually like my fourth one. I've created many of these over the years as I have filled them up. But can I tell you guys something? I'm going to write my next book. This is going to be the next book, How to Use My Time Well journal or workbook. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet. It'll probably be like 100 pages of how to use it and me sharing more experiences about how this can work and completely change your life. But then it's going to have 30 to 60 pages of this template here. So if you're listening and you can't see this template, guess what I did, guys? In the bonus section of Becoming Boss-Minded, I put this here for you guys. You guys can access the template now, but just know that a whole entire book is going to come. I'm not going to put any deadline on it right now, but you know, my first book took 40 weeks and my second book took 20 weeks. So maybe I could get this done in 10 weeks. I wouldn't put it past me. That sounds like something I would do if I just got the idea and just did it, because I tend to do that with projects when I'm really excited about something, and especially when I know it's going to have an impact. So anyway, this is the little book, okay? Now, I will pick this back up in a second, but let's get back into this chapter in Becoming Boss-Minded, because in this strategy, How to Use My Time Well, there are 5 different components that help you design a productive schedule. So the very first thing that you need to do is make a list of things to do and people to serve. And this is where you just brain dump. This is where you get everything out of your head and you put it down on paper and you say, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and oh, I wanted to get that done. And you just get it all down. Now, on this worksheet or this template, this journal, whatever I'm going to call it, I can show you right here that there is only room for 15 different tasks, which means when you do your brain dump, that's fine to get everything out. But when we're talking about designing a productive schedule, we are not going to put more than 15 tasks to do. Okay. If you're trying to do more than 15 tasks, then you got to keep reading this chapter so you can pare it down to do what's most important. So the very first thing that you're going to do, like I said, is a brain dump. This is where you give yourself the ability to get everything out of your head, and it starts to give you a little bit of freedom in your mental space. So you're going to write everything down. And I also put in here people to serve, because when it comes to a productive schedule, I know how it can totally turn into just a to-do list. And trust me, there's a lot of people who follow to-do lists and they are so unbalanced and burned out. It's not even funny. So as you're doing a brain dump, I want you to remember not just to-do lists, but I want you to also think about the impact that your actions are having on the people around you and the people who matter to you the most. So that's the first thing that you're going to do is brain dump. You're just going to write down everything that you need to get done and get it out of your head. The second thing that you're going to do in this brain dump is recognize that some of these tasks are probably daily things that you want to do, and then they become part of your habits. Like if you want to work out every morning, or if you want to meditate, or you want to check your emails after you've done 10 pages of reading a book, whatever it is. When you're brain dumping, you will start to see patterns of things that you want to do every single day. And in this brain dump, this is really good for you to recognize what are my non-negotiables. Like what are things that I have to do every single day so that I feel like myself and I reach the goals that I want to. So you guys will see in this template I've been using for years and years, my non-negotiables are printed on here because I knew that if I was going to brain dump every day, these are the things that I wanted to get done. So one of those was read scriptures. The next one was ATQs, which stands for accountability tracking quizzes. And this is what I used to do in my business when it was all about fitness. But now accountability tracking quiz for me means I do my client check-ins. So every day I make sure that I'm updated on Facebook Messenger and that I don't have any clients hanging on stuff for me to do. So I make sure that I get that done. That is a non-negotiable because I'm the kind of coach who's there for my client and I'm always reachable, as in available. Not like you can call me all the time, but I'm definitely not going to leave my inbox on red for a week at a time. The next thing that's a non-negotiable is send out cards. So this is where I have the opportunity to send people a note in the mail or thank them for coming to an event. And the reason why I do send out cards is because that is one of the ways that I beat depression. So I'm able to send out gratitude and goodness in a very easy way. Send out cards is a program that's very simple. You write a card and they print it out and they mail it to somebody. So people get mail, an actual card in the mail. So that's something that I like to do regularly. Another thing that I have on here is business reports. So this is any sort of admin work that I have that needs to be done so that it doesn't pile up. And one of these is like QuickBooks, making sure that my receipts are in and making sure that I'm up to date on my business bank accounts. And so I know how much I have to spend and what's coming out and how much to prepare for profit. So the last thing on here is social media. And the reason why social media is a non-negotiable is because that's the primary way I grow my business. And so these are things that if I did nothing else in a day, I still would be like, I took care of myself. I took care of my clients. I practiced beating depression and I practiced being proactive about my business. So when you do your brain dump, that's what you're going to do. Get it all out of your head and put it on paper. And then you're also going to look at it and say, what are my non-negotiables? What are the things on here that I need to do every single day? And they have to be according to you. Okay. So non-negotiables, these are not just planning your day, but this is like you planning your future, like who you want to be. So don't base that on an obligation that somebody else has given to you. It needs to be something that really matters to you. So the next thing that you're going to do is review your list of tasks, and you're going to open your day with prayer for intention, guidance, and strength. And in the past, when I wrote the accountability code, my publisher and my editor, they were like, you don't want to put God because not everybody believes in God. And I was like, okay, I get that. I understand that. So in my first book, I reference like your higher power, universe, whatever you do to bring in good stuff. But this next book that I'm going to write, How to Use Your Time Well, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, you should just straight up talk to God for help and open up your day. I don't think there's a better way to do it than to understand you have complete power from a Father in heaven who loves you. So I'm just going to, for the sake of my own beliefs and my purpose for what I'm teaching you, I'm going to continue to reference that I talk to Heavenly Father and I believe in the saving power of Jesus Christ. And I'm going to use that on a daily basis. And when I do, my days are better. So if that doesn't fit your style, your mold, you are totally fine to substitute it. But just know that me teaching the validity and effectiveness of this includes communicating with my Father in heaven. So that's the second thing that you're going to do is brain dump and then just talk to God about it. Talk to God about your day, what you hope to do, what you hope to accomplish, what you want to be aware of. And a lot of times in my opening prayer, I'm asking for flexibility because I'm not a very adaptable person when I have a plan in my head. All of the personality tests will say I'm a very organized and deliberate person. And I would rather plan out every detail than to be spontaneous, which seems like kind of a bad thing. But at the same time, it's like, I'm an accountability coach, so I'm really good at keeping you on track. So when I am opening my prayer, I always ask that I can be flexible so that I don't miss other important messages, that I don't get too stuck in my ways where I believe my way is the only way. So when you're opening your prayer, it is really for you to have intention about your day. Like, remember, we're designing a productive schedule, but productivity for one person is going to look different for the next person. So that opening prayer is for you to say, hey, I'm going to tailor this to what I need to do, what I hope to do, but Heavenly Father, please give me help because you know me better. Okay, so that is putting humility into your day so that you really can live in alignment. Hey, my beautiful people. If you're loving these episodes, you'll want the full experience. I've bundled both of my books, The Accountability Code and Becoming Boss Minded, into one powerful package. You'll get instant access to the audiobooks and ebooks so you can learn and grow anytime, anywhere. Head to bossminded.com and grab the book bundle now. It's the perfect way to stay inspired between episodes. All right, let's dive back in. All right. Some of the questions in the book are, what are some things you might include in your personal opening prayer, and why would tuning into the spirit or your higher power be helpful to you? Now, again, this is a very personal thing, but let's pretend you weren't religious or even spiritual. If you just took a second to like chill about your brain dump, you would have more clarity about the organization of it or what's really not important or the things that you don't want to do. So just keep in mind that your ability to stop and pause after you've gotten something out of your brain and onto paper, taking the time to sift through that is going to help you have more mental clarity. Now, the third thing that you're going to do is set priorities. So on this template that I show you, there's little boxes next to these. And this is where I plug in the numbers 1 through 15. So I go through my whole list. And this also is something I do. I pull up my calendar. I pull up my schedule for the day. So on my list today, let me tell you what I had this for today specifically. Let me open it up to where we were. Okay, so one of the first things I put on here, I had to get up early. It's summertime, but my kid has swim lessons at 7 a.m. Isn't that kind of crazy? So I got up and I did my brain dump of swim practice. I'm teaching a workshop tonight. I have a client call. I have a sales call. I did Canva co-working with the Boss Minded Facebook group. And then I have on here to do something for Aubrey. Guess what? It is almost 2 p.m. I haven't really even talked to Aubrey. So that's still on my list, and an arm workout. I went on a run yesterday, but I neglected my arm, so it's time for that. So now that I have my brain dump, there's also read scriptures, ATQs, send out cards, and social media. So now what I have to do is I have to take all of these things and put them in order of importance. So swim practice went first. And I know some people are like, oh, I got to read my scriptures, or I even have to pray first thing in the morning. But guess what? I didn't do that. I got up, I got my kid ready for swim. We went to swim practice, and I didn't say my prayers till later, which is fine because for me, that's how I was productive, was getting what I needed to get done according to my schedule. So in here, I put number 1, swim practice. Number 2, checking with my clients. 3, I had a client call. I had a sales call. Number 5 is Canva co-working. That's done. Number 6 is Aubrey. So here I am recording a podcast before serving Aubrey, which is fine. It is totally fine because I have a good 4 hours in my day until my next task. So then I have send out cards, then read my scriptures, and then I have social media, and then last is my arm workout, and then the workshop at the very end because that's at 8 p.m. So I took all of the things that I wanted to get done and I looked at my calendar. So just like I said, I have a 4-hour window, so I have a little bit of flexibility there, actually a lot of flexibility, especially because kids are out of school. So for me to fit different tasks in there, my brain now says, this makes sense. This is doable. This is exciting because I know what I'm going to do. And keep in mind, like, I'm not always perfect at this, but having that piece of clarity turning into a plan, that is actually very motivating to do. So that's the next thing that you're going to do is put a number 1 next to the priority number 2, and you're just going to go in order of things of how you think you would accomplish them. And that's really my favorite part because it is motivating to get stuff done when you're like, nope, I wrote it down and I know why it makes sense. And like my client call and my sales call in Canva co-working, that was 3, 4, and 5. So already, according to my schedule, I know I'm going to get those things done. So if I have a lot of calls or a lot of appointments on my calendar, it helps me stay on track because I know certain things are going to happen at certain times. All right, so the next piece of this is step number 4, and that is take action. So complete each item, listen to the spirit, and adjust accordingly, track regular stats. So just like I said, I'm recording this podcast before I've even talked to Aubrey. And you guys, did you even notice something? Guess what? Recording the podcast wasn't even on my schedule today. Isn't that crazy? Because I didn't even think about it when I did my brain dump. But then I got into my messages, checked in with my clients, and then my podcast manager was like, hey, here's an update on your podcast. And I told her, I'm going to go out of town next week and I want to record 3 episodes. And it fit in perfectly. It fit in perfectly, even though I didn't even think about it, but it still fits within what I'm doing. And that gives me a lot of peace and confidence in my abilities because I'm organized. And guess what? Here comes the flexibility. And that is a really beautiful thing because that's what I've asked for help for, is being flexible and adaptable. So throughout your day, even this book, like I took this book with me to swim practice because I was like, maybe I do want to get some work done while my kid is swimming. Guess what? I didn't want to get any work done. I was tired. So I sat there and it was totally fine. It was totally fine. Here comes that grace and help that I ask for on a daily basis, even though I hadn't sat down and said my official opening prayer yet. But that's the thing about taking action, is that you don't know what's going to happen until you do stuff. And it is totally fine for things to change up a little bit because we honestly can't predict every minute of every day, let alone every hour. So number 4 is take action. So you just try. Implementing is just trying. You just take imperfect action and you see that things get done. The last step in this about taking action, there's some questions in the book that will help you. So I want to ask those here. What other schedules are in place already that you can cross-reference your time management with? So examples are regular meetings, picking up kids from school, or dinner time. Notice on here, I don't even have dinner. I don't even know who's going to plan dinner. That's not even in here yet. It should be. I would love it if it was, but I didn't even think about meal prepping because I meal prepped for 3 hours yesterday. So for lunch, I went downstairs to the fridge and got me a meal. I didn't even have to think about it. I was so nice to myself that I thought about it yesterday, so I don't have to think about it today. What checkpoint items can be used as a means for helping you stay focused and completing tasks by the desired time? So that's just like we talked about. If you have something on your calendar, think about what you want to accomplish before that and think about what you want to accomplish afterwards. Lastly, at the end of the day, step 5 is to report to your Father in heaven in prayer and ask for help. Ask for forgiveness if there's something you did wrong. Ask for direction if there's something you can't figure out. And I will do this a lot of times at my computer when I'm putting together an offer or I'm putting together a schedule or I'm considering putting an event on the calendar. I will do my best to sit back and pray about it and see if it feels right and consider a little bit more in my brain before I just jump on an idea. Because I am not like... I talk about this a little bit in Becoming Boss-Minded, is people who deal with ADHD and executive functioning or executive dysfunction. I'm not one of those people who gets an idea and doesn't finish it. I'm one of those people who gets an idea and I finish it to completion. So if I put something into my schedule that shouldn't be there, then it doesn't just throw me off track. It actually takes up a lot of my time while I'm completing the task. So when you are at the end of the day, it is really important to look back on what you've done for the sake of you tuning in with yourself and how you want to improve and adjust. And of course, we bring God into that because he knows us better than we know ourselves. And it's important to get some direction moving forward. So when it comes to designing a productive schedule, I want you all to remember that this strategy is going to increase your natural strengths because you get to design your day based on what is right for you. And it helps you put the most important things right in front of your face instead of keeping them all up in your head. And a lot of people actually come to me when they want clarity on their business. A lot of times people say, I have too much spinning around in my head and I don't know where to start. I'm not sure what is best. The active practice of you putting stuff on paper is going to develop clarity in a way that you have not ever experienced before. And using it regularly is a really good way to just practice how you function and what you like to do. So before we end, I want to just tell you on here at the very bottom, I have this where you check things off. And then at the end, I have these little icons, and this comes, for my personal training days. Like I told you guys, I've been using this for years and years, and this is something that I continue to have on here because it's so important. And these icons are for sleep, self-care, water intake, and movement. And I don't care if you're a fitness person or not, but if you're human and you want to function well, those are very easy health basics to focus on. I guess I shouldn't say easy. They're simple. They're not always easy, but that's a place where you can put in your progress to track how you're doing or what you did. And then at the end, there's a daily quote for you to draw inspiration from the places that you find motivating and helpful. So this is how to use my time well. And this is from how to design a productive schedule on a regular basis. So I hope that you use those. And again, if you want access to that template and you guys want to see the template, you want to print it out and use it a few times, you can totally do that. And that is in the back of the book. So if you guys have Becoming Boss Minded, you guys will find that QR code in the back. So let me know if you guys have any questions at all about designing a productive schedule. Overall, I want you to know you don't have to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional because intentionality that's really who you become. Whatever you're doing today on a regular basis, that is who you are. And it's by the small things and the regular things and the consistent things that are going to help you shape into who you want to be. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope to see you next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. Thanks for tuning in, friend. If this episode gave you value, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with someone in your circle who's ready to wake up, show up, and grow their business without sacrificing what matters most. When you do, you're not just helping them, you're building your network of like-minded leaders. And I'll say this plainly, leaving a kind review matters more than you know. It helps more people find the show and it keeps the momentum going. So pause for a moment and please drop that review. Lastly, if there's a topic you want me to cover, I want to hear from you. Reach out because this podcast is for you and I'm here to serve. Until next time, stay boss-minded.